Knitters really hate it when knitting and crochet gets confused. And the amount of comments I've seen online in the last 24 hours since the last episode of Game of Wool is, it's a very, knitters may not like the show, but it's certainly been talked about online. There's a lot of buzz around it, but we do not like it. Generally, knitters do not like it when knitting and crochet gets confused. And a lot of people are very angry that this show is talking about finding Britain's best knitter when 2 weeks in a row now we've had crochet only challenges. So we can talk about that. We can talk about what else was on this episode, talk about the designs they made, and the kits are already out. Some better news, I think, about that than the previous lot of kits that were launched for the series. So let's have a chat about it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns, I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. So I have 3 workshops left this term. Incredibly busy. This is my first full week at home for quite a few weeks, a full kind of calendar week at home for quite a few weeks. I have a workshop on Sunday at Brixham Sewing Box. I don't know if it's got any spaces left. I know last time I heard, I think there was 1 space left, but I'm teaching my Farrell clutch, just this one, the colour clutch, and then the following Sunday at Brixham Sewing Box, I'm teaching finishing techniques. Brixham Sewing Box is in Brixham in South Devon, and then on, I think it's the following Tuesday after that. All the dates and websites and stuff will be listed below. I'm teaching my hot water bottle, stranded colourwork hot water bottle class at Spinning Yarn at Bobby Tracy in Devon. So I will link all those below. So if you're interested, do go and check it out. If you haven't signed up my newsletter, please do, so you don't miss out on any discounts. I'm currently taking part in the Fasten Off Yarn Along. It started on Friday, but because I was away and I kind of forgot about it, I haven't done any promotion for it as of recording this. So I'll put all the details below so I get everything right. But you get, I think it's 25% off all my patterns on Ravelry and PayHip. I will link everything below and put all the details where you can go and find everything out. Loads of designers are taking part, so do go and check that out as well. Right, let's chat about Game of Wool episode 4. I watched it yesterday, Monday, because on Sunday evening we were driving back from Harrogate. I was teaching at the Knit and Stitch show, and I finished teaching at 3:45 on Sunday. I was outside in the car by 4 o'clock. The last class was quite easy. All the classes on Sunday were quite easy. Saturday was busy, and I was exhausted by the time I left. The Sunday was a lot easier day because all my classes were a lot smaller and a lot easier to teach. If you came to one of my workshops there, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Say hello in the comments. I am still really behind with catching up on comments from the previous 2 Game of Wool episodes. I normally do comments on my phone, but I may have to sit down tomorrow and actually go through all the comments on my computer just to make sure I reply to them all, because I do like to reply to all the comments. So let's chat about episode 4. So as I said, I watched it yesterday afternoon. It's a bit later than it was on television. It also means I've been able to go on Instagram and grab a lot of screenshots of some of the designs they were making. Now, I managed to find pictures before I record this of some of the costumes online. And I've also found a group picture of all the costumes on like dress forms online. So I will put up any pictures of stuff I found. Serdar also launched kits for these, and apparently, which I saw just before I recorded this, I was watching a YouTube short from, I think it's Deborah Knits. She's done some very good videos of Game of Wool, and apparently Serdar, on the pattern or the kit listing, it does say that the designers, I think it said they're being paid, and the rights to the patterns will return to them after the program is finished airing. So big bonus. I also, from what I understand, from what I've heard from YouTube videos, it sounds like Serdar, Rowan and Wool and the Gang, which are the 3 companies so far that have provided kits for this series, it sounds like they are owned by the same equity firm. I don't know what they're called. finance company. So that's also interesting, I think. King Cole do a lot of advertising around this. They supplied all the cones, so you can see in the background, apparently. But I wonder whether they will launch kits at some point. I think we're halfway through the series. We've got 7 knitters left. Anyway, the first challenge was a crochet challenge. Lydia did a lion. It looked good. None of them seemed to struggle to complete the challenge. I think they all completed it in the allotted time. They had 12 hours. I guess they're probably using chunky yarn again. But yeah, Lydia's looked good. It looked like a lion. And then Isaac did an explorer. It was good. I thought it was a bit boring because it was beige. On the front, it just looks like a beige waistcoat with a pocket. There's something sticking out of the pocket, but I can't remember what that was. Was it a compass or something? Then he did some crochet binoculars, which was very clever. And he did a crocheted hat, like an explorer's hat. And on the back, it had like a globe. So I thought that was very good. Apparently that was Intarsia crochet, so I thought that was very good. So I thought his looked good. I didn't think it looked brilliant. I thought the colours were a bit boring, considering it was for children. Simon did a knight. I thought he had some great details. The judges commented on the simple stitches that he used. Mostly like granny trebles, it looks like. But maybe a bit of a plique or something on the front. But they commented on the details and the simple stitches and the great engineering. Now he works in the building trade apparently, so, and his engineering skills have been commented, or building skills have been commented on before. Construction skills, I should say. I think he works in the construction industry. I thought it looked great. My husband was kind of watching part of it, and he said that as a little boy he would have loved that costume. He thought it was fab, and it was his favorite. My husband, who's also got Simon, it was his favorite. Holger did a fox. It looked great. It was a dungaree with like one strap across one side, one shoulder, kind of shoulder into the middle. I would say maybe you'd need 2 straps to make sure they don't fall off. But I'm not sure there was supposed to be 2 straps, and he just ran out of time. He did some kind of mitten type things in fox colors. The dungarees that he did were blue, but they looked very good. His work is always excellent. Very good tension. It looks very neat. It looks very planned out. Very good. And then he did like a hat in like a fox color and fox ears and things like that, which looked very good. So I liked his. Thought it looked very good. Dipti did a crayon. Hers could have worked really well, but all the others had shaping and things in there. So hers was just a tube straight down, and on the dress form it looks massive, way too big. I can't remember now what it looked like on the kids when they were modelling it, but she did like a sort of traffic cone looking hat. It was, I guess it was supposed to be the point of a crayon. And then she had done crayon down the bottom. It's meant to look, I guess, like a very popular brand of crayons. I can't remember what they're called, but it said crayon down the centre of the front, which she'd done in Intarsia crochet. Which she's obviously not very experienced at. I've never done Intarsia crochet. The judges commented during the 12 hours they were making this that the outline of it was a bit uneven, so she tried to even that up by doing some quite long stitches, and she probably would have been better off doing smaller stitches because it looked very visible. The judges said it was too simple, no shape and no form, so they weren't that impressed with it. So I was immediately thinking, I think Dipti is going to go this week. Tracy did a bee. She did the wings were too heavy. The judges weren't that impressed with her wings. I thought the bee costume itself was really good. Little dress with just straps across with bee stripes and a kind of bee hat. I thought it looked very good. They was mainly critiquing her wings, which I think that was the only thing that was kind of wrong with it. But I thought it was very good. Elsa did a zebra, which the judges were very impressed with. Yes, I can kind of see why, because she used different height stitches to make kind of zebra stripes. So it was black with pink and white zebra stripes, and then some like zebra-ish leg warmers and a zebra hat. I thought it looked good. It didn't look as neat and even as some of the others. But I also get the impression that Elsa is a bit of a judge's favourite. So it wasn't my favourite, but I got the impression that the judges liked it. And then they had to do a group challenge, which was a wall hanging for children. And it had to be interactive, and they could choose between knitting and crochet. Now, there's only 7 left, so they had 4 in one group and 3 in the other, but they both had the same amount of time. So I don't know how that worked, really, because one group you have one more person. I don't know whether that impacted the judging or what they did, but it just seemed a little bit unfair that one group had 4 people and one group had 3 people. But Dipti, Lydia, Simon and Holger did the sea creature wall hanging. They had trunks. It was like a person, sea creature person, with trunks that you could pull off. Now, I was a little bit like pulling off the trunks. Not sure about that, but they needed kind of interactive stuff, so pockets. I think there were some pockets and zips and things like that. Texture. They wanted it to be interactive and like sort of have some surprises. And I think that one was one where you could like zip the mouth. Anyway, the judges liked it. Background looked a bit like a mess because it wasn't cohesive enough. Elsa, Isaac and Tracy did a caterpillar. It looked a lot neater. It was all done on one background, so it looked a bit more cohesive. Not as interactive. There weren't any like pouches or zips or any kind of surprises, is what the judges commented on. But it was a lot neater looking, and I liked the caterpillar. I thought it looked cute, but it looked more professional, I think, than the other one, but not as interactive. So although it didn't look as interactive, they still won the group challenge. Although the judges seemed more impressed with the features of the sea creature, the caterpillar won. So the smaller group won because it just looked more professional, I think. So I was a little bit surprised because they were criticised for not being as interactive, but they still won. But interactive and surprises was part of the challenge, so I'm not sure how they're judging that, but it did look a lot neater. Big knitter of the week. I still don't understand why they call it big knitter, but there we go. Was Isaac. Difty all the way throughout did a lot of eye rolls. They keep focusing on her when she was going, and she just looked unhappy for a lot of it. There was a lot of shots in between where she was kind of filmed doing eye rolls or just sighing or looking annoyed. So I thought, well, she's probably going to go. And she did. She was cast off. She has admitted that she's not that as experienced as some of the others, I think. At least she doesn't come across as experienced as some of the others. Also very quiet. Quite a few of them are very quiet. Elsa as well seems very quiet. Isaac, I kind of, as soon as they looked at his costume, I thought he's going to win. And he did, because they were very impressed with his outfit. I thought it was a bit boring. So I don't know whether they decided in advance. So a different person won Big Knitter every week, I think. It's been a different person every week. And I'm wondering whether that's deliberate, whether they have to choose a different one each week. I don't know. Be interested to see when we're down to just a few people. I had something else I was going to talk about this, but I think I'm going to save for a different video because I don't want this video to be too long. So that was it for Gameable this week. I thought the challenge this week was much better. Soda are doing kits for all the kids' costumes, and on their website apparently it does say that they're being compensated for it, and that once the series is finished airing, they will get the rights to their pattern back. That sounds like a much better deal than the previous kits. I find it interesting as well that nobody's sold any kits yet for the swimwear last week. Probably are some who'd like to make them, but obviously not enough people. So, yes, it continues to be monetized. I don't know whether that was always the contract they sort of had with the program, that they would compensate the knitters, or whether they've learned from the criticism from the previous, from week 1 and 2. Because as far as I understand, Wool and the Gang, Rowan and Soda are all owned by the same parent company. So if there has been a little negative attention about that, negativity online about that, that might be enough to make them think, actually, maybe we do need to compensate the knitters. Enjoyed this week's episode. Loads of people are angry that they keep bringing crochet in when it's knitting, and you can't expect people to be good at both. As long as the people taking part knew when they applied that they had to be good at both knitting and crochet, then that's their choice. If they were assessed across knitting and crochet, then I don't have a problem with that. I understand that the auditions were before Christmas last year. I don't know when they filmed. There was one guy who talked about it. I can't remember who it was now, but I talked about that in last week's video. And he found out by end of January, I think. And I don't know how soon after that they started filming. It's clearly filmed, I think, in the spring because of the lamps in the field and the fact that it is still a bit cold because they seem to wear very chunky clothes. And I think one of the judges commented on the fact that it was quite cold the week they were filming this. So I don't know how much time they had between being selected and actually start filming. But if I was taking part and I was worried that my crochet skills weren't up to scratch, I would spend that time practicing what I need to practice to do well. Anyway, that's it for this week. If you want to know more about the controversy of knitting versus crochet, I do have a video about it. I'll link it at the end. I also have set up a playlist for all my Game of Wool videos. So if you haven't watched the previous one, do go and watch them. I'll link the playlist below and at the end, and I'll link my knitting versus crochet video at the end and below. And you'll find all the other details you need to know about me below, including all my social media, my website, the Fast Enough Yarn Along discount on all my patterns at the moment, and all that kind of stuff below, and my workshops. So do go and check that out. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Been an influx of new subscribers this month, which I really appreciate. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.